I think maybe even Dirty Jersey Rat. Dirty Jersey. Yay! I love that song.
Every day, you will never be more offended than you'll be scrolling 3 times at your finger. You've been offended more than you've ever been on any other medium.
Well, especially in the Dabbleverse.
Yeah, that's true. The dreaded Dabbleverse.
Apparently, there's clip things. These guys that go around, they're called clippers, and they look for specific shit just like this. So I'm giving these clip people. I don't know. I'm just learning to swim in the Dabbleverse, and I've been welcomed with open arms, kind of, but yes and no.
I tell you, if you're just learning to swim in the Dabbleverse, get out of the pool when you as soon as you can. It is not a healthy place. It's not a place for good people. It's just not. I'm really a
very thin-skinned person. I'm very sensitive. I'm fucking sensitive, Anthony.
A hive of scum and villainy.
Nice. Ready. So the Jon thing, I don't understand like how the fallout went. You guys were actually friends for a while. He said that you guys played cards and shit like that.
Yeah. It well, this whole thing stems from something that has been said about Jon for quite some time. This isn't me making shit up or just bringing up shit to turn the screw on him. We see how he reacts when someone busts his balls. And that's all we've ever done. Is bust balls. As a comic, especially if you dabble in comedy, you would think you would know this. I saw Rich Voss dismantling Patrice O'Neill at Caroline's on Broadway from the audience. Like Rich was in the audience yelling, "You suck, fuck you." Patrice is laughing his ass off because they're all comics. This is what comics do, bust balls. Now, Jon, on the other hand, when it was Artie and Anthony show for about 9 months, Artie said something, just a really nothing throwaway line to Jon, something to the effect, like, "Where'd you get that shirt out of the hamper?" or something like that. And Jon just goes, "Why don't you try to fucking kill yourself again by drinking bleach, you heroin addict?" And we're all like, holy shit, dude. Like, how about a little balance here? A little balance. So with me, he did a gig out one of the Carolines clubs, the brokerage out on Long Island. And we all went. And the next day on my show, someone said, "Hey, how was Jon's gig?" And I made the joke that I go, "Well, I was able to park like right up to the building. I was pretty much right next to the door," making a joke about the ample parking available because there weren't many people at the gig. Well, this motherfucker is supposedly a comic. He unloads and he starts, "Fuck that guy. He said last night at the gig, he said, 'Great job, Jon.'" And yeah, because that's what funny guys do with each other. They fucking bust their balls. They goof on them. And that fuck cannot take it. And then he'll go from 0 to 150 in a second and think it's somehow justified. "Hey, Pocky, this, that." He comes up with his little nicknames. And at that point, I was just like, all right, go fuck yourself. I don't need a guy that's as volatile as this over, something we've all done our whole lives, busting balls. Take a little self-deprecation, take a little deprecation from other people in this business and lighten the fuck up.
Yeah, I can see that because I guess it's not coming from Howard, so maybe
right.
it's you can't do that kind of situation where who are you to insult me, not realizing read the room and see that you're with other comics and that's the way it goes.
Right.
And so what was the moment that you just said, "I'm fucking sick of this guy, I'm done"?
It was after, I guess, after the day I goofed on him on my show and goofed on the fact that there weren't many people at the guy. I didn't make that up. There weren't a lot of people at the brokerage that night. And as a guy that does a comedy show, I was going to fucking talk about it. I'm not going to bullshit. After that, he started saying, coming out with all the same shit about me and shit talking me, not in a funny way either. Like, that's what Jon does. Kill yourself again, drink bleach, stab yourself, you heroin addict. to Artie, and Artie's like sitting there. He does the same thing to everybody. If he feels, you know, use the word, he attacked me. Like, no, we're just fucking being guys that have to have a little bit of a thicker skin than he has. So when Poker Mike, who happened to be in the car with John when they were listening to my synopsis of his gig, he just said John exploded. He was so pissed. He was shit talking me. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need to be in any type of friendship or acquaintance or business relationship with a guy that's this fucking psycho volatile like that. And it just got worse. And then when I started seeing other people clipping his show and pointing out some of these ridiculous takes he has on things and some of the hypocrisies and nastiness and vindictiveness, I just was like, yeah, I really don't need this guy in my life anyway, shape or form.
Yeah, it's sad to say that because I've had some volatile times with him. Like there's been times, at least 3 times, where he just didn't talk to me. One of them being, I helped someone out, somebody that did something bad to him. I let him stay in my apartment. He lost it on me with that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I didn't realize what the person did. The person stole from him, and it was an intern that worked with us. The kid got arrested because he stole a lot of money from John. And then about 10 years later, the kid showed up at a place. I used to work at this restaurant, Brunelli's in Manhattan, and he showed up, and I felt bad. He was going to sleep in the subway. I let him sleep on my couch, and then Ganji saw him on the couch and went in and said, "Oh, guess who was on our couch this morning, John?"
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was blah blah blah. And I got a phone call, and he tore me a new asshole. And then I remember I saw him outside his Scores one night, and he was like, you know, he gave it to me like, "Get out of my face, you fucking." And I didn't know the guy. I did it innocently, just trying to help somebody.
Right. Yeah.
And then another time when I went on Shuli's show. God bless Shuli. I love Shuli. I think I'm doing his show Friday morning. So Shuli always at K-Rock would, every time I was not K-Rock, I'm sorry, it's Sirius, went out of his way to interview me in the hallway for Howard 100 News. He always asked if there's anything he could do. Shuli's been nothing but good to me over the years. And I, in appreciation for that, when he asked me to come on his show and John asked me not to, I went on anyway. And I went on specifically to say to Shuli, when it started to get, this is at the beginning of the Dabbleverse, the Uncle Rico show, I went on anyway. And when it started to turn to, John as the subject, I vehemently denied doing it. And I said, I didn't come on here to bash John.
Right. That's your prerogative, of course.
Yeah. And he's not going to dictate what I can and cannot do.
Exactly.
As a friend, I went on to make sure that I said to Shuli politely, I said, if this is what you think I'm on here for, I'm going to bow out as a gentleman and say, thank you for having me on. And Shuli respected that. But then I got a phone call and it wasn't pleasant. And then, but he got over that. And then we started talking again. And now everything, even over the years, I was like, the little brother that just the big brother always sort of bullied kind of. And now for the first time, I can honestly say that John has been treating me like an equal as a person for the first time. Well,
maybe not after this show.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that hasn't already been out there.
No, and I
will say that I consider him a friend. I don't care what everybody else thinks, especially in this universe.
I get you, man. And look, out of respect for you, I wouldn't just come on here and just start shitting on him in any way, but to discuss what you brought up. Like, I'm not just going to be, oh, fuck that guy, he's an asshole. Out of respect for you, it's your show. We've got other stuff we could talk about, but the hypocrisy of telling anyone who they can and can't, should or shouldn't have on their show, or even have as a friend or a working relationship. And we've seen this over the course of the years. Like, I'm not saying shit here that isn't absolutely documented over the course of John's history and his history with certain people. There is a hypocrisy there when it comes to, hey, I don't mind whoever you're friends with. You could do shows, I don't mind. And then you do a show, and like you said, you get that fucking phone call, or you get him on his show saying horrific things about people.
He has said some horrific things about me. They weren't very nice. But I'm a forgive and forget person. This is right. Show business. This is what we do. He's not like listen, we all have personal information on each other. I don't necessarily like when people go after people's families and shit like that. And I think sort of like the mafia mentality, you know, families are off limits. Is there something that would ever happen that you would be friends with him again, shake his hand, or is it just
No,
that's it?
no, that ship has sailed. Like I said, it's
Because
not
right
even.
now we have Stuttering John. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't mind. Like
No,
I won't be friends with him. I won't shake his hand.
I wouldn't set him up like that. I wouldn't set you
But
up like
yeah,
that. I do have something interesting that happened before before you came on, to just quickly give you something to bite your teeth into. I send out, you know, I had someone that Oscar Electric was very nice. He made those cool little promos for me, and I'll text some people like in a list, like random, like rapid fire, just, you know, people to tune in or whatever. And I didn't realize, but one of the people that I sent that promo to was Mancow.
Oh,
And I don't know if you don't want to get into it. I don't, but he had a whole bunch of shit to say about you. I didn't realize that you guys A, knew each other, or B, had a beef.
like here's the thing about these beefs. I haven't given Mancow a thought in probably at least a decade, if not more.
Yeah.
But I don't even consider that a beef. The only time we ever spoke of each other was on the air. It was that on-air radio fucking horse shit.
Would you want
battles.
me to read what he wrote, or no? You don't.
What?
Care. I won't. No,
Let me guess. Pedophile.
No, it was
tranny
something
fucker.
about the sex thing in the church.
Domestic abuser. What?
No, I won't. I'll get into it a little bit. It's something about you costing millions of dollars in Samuel Adams advertising about the sex in the church.
Yeah.
Message. He wishes you had a third kneecap so he could hit it with a crowbar. I didn't know. Some people just get angry. I don't understand.
I don't even have a beef with Mancow. I couldn't even tell you where he is or what he's doing to this day.
Yeah.
Honestly. Now, the Sam Adams thing, obviously back in the WNEW days, we used to do a thing called Sex for Sam. Sam Adams, Jim Cook would come in, and he sponsored this event where we took people out, couples, to have sex at famous New York landmarks. Somebody wrote a church on the list, and the list was FAO Schwartz and the Empire State Building and just Madison Square Garden. And Paul Mercurio, the comic, was taking one of these couples around, and he calls in and goes, "We're here at St. Pat's," and he's doing the 2-point conversion, which was fucking her in the ass. And all of a sudden, we just stopped dead for a second, looked at each other, and went like, what do we do? Do we hit the dump button, hang up, and move on? Or do we run with this? Because we're shock jocks. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
People are fucking at St. Pat's. Oh, look out. And we went with the latter. You know, we thought we'd get some ink. We're shock jocks. Well, it didn't bode well. And we were subsequently fired from WNEW radio. We had to sit out for a couple of years, and then we got the gig at XM.
You got your ink.
But yes, Sam Adams took a big blow from that because people were up in Boston dumping out beer into the sewers because they were pissed at him. Understandable. You know, people did not like what we did. In hindsight, it was really fucking stupid. But you always, you know, as a shock jock, you're always trying to top your last fucking thing. And, you know, we thought that would be it. You get away with so many things that push the envelope that you think you're going to get away with everything. And we didn't. But Sam Adams Beer had sponsored that same contest 2 years prior to when we got booted, and Sam Adams took a lot of heat for what we did. So they were as much involved in this event as we were. And the fact that they lost advertising money and lost sales, and the station wouldn't take them on as an advertiser and lost revenue. Yeah, that's what happened. To try to, after 20 fucking years, try to say, oh, Anthony, what'd you do with Sam Adams? It's kind of a dumb thing to wish I had a third kneecap for.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked at the whole thing. I was like, he was just on a list of people, and then he came back and was like, Hope you say you thought you were going to be. I hope you better sanitize that room when he leaves and shit.
What the fuck? I don't know. Look, the radio business over the course of the years has been an insane ride.
But I've always, I got to say, I really appreciate your friendship and you having me on your show and you coming on my show. I want to, well, we'll end with my favorite story of that night when we went down to the Comedy Cellar. And
oh God, yeah.
And this proves what kind of friend I am to you, because
you were awesome, man. You had my back.
Yeah, I was ready to throw down. So if anybody doesn't know, we went to see Artie at Caroline's, and I lived like right there in Hell's Kitchen. So I was ready just to go home. And Artie's like, "No, you're coming downtown with me, Grillo. Get in the taxi." So we went down to the Comedy Cellar, and you came down as well. And that night there was a table with like all those like douchebaggery people, like and Z said sorry and like everything. And there yeah. I see Jon Stewart sitting there now. Over the past years, I'm not saying I was friends with him, but Jon has always been very friendly. He knows who I am.
Sure.
And he always goes out of his way to say hello. In fact, right before, during Christmas, I saw him in Times Square, and he was like very happy to see me. So we go down there, and I go say hello to Jon, and you see me talking to Jon, and you got up, and you, again, this goes back to like, we're in show business, for fuck's sake, like lighten up, which was your argument. And you went over to shake Jon's hand, and you said, "Hi, Anthony Cumia. Opie and Anthony," and he like pulled his hand back, and he was like, "Yeah, fuck you, you scumbag! You said some fucked thing," and you were like, "Bro, come on, man!" But what happened was two of his friends got up, and stood like right behind you, kind of to your side, and I said, "1-on-one's one thing, 3-on-1, on my watch, motherfucker." So I got up, I was like, "Yo, I like Jon, but if I got to knock two of his friends out, I'm going to do it." But
yeah. You know, I appreciated that, man. You had my back. It was that was my long, illustrious career in getting finally kicked out of the Comedy Cellar.
Are you not allowed back there, or?
Well, I haven't been back since Noam told me, "Why don't you take a little sabbatical from the cellar?" Because I used to go in, I'd order some food. Jimmy would come in, sit down at the table, we'd laugh. Colin Quinn, you know, whoever the comics were, we'd sit and talk. And
Small guys are good.
And yeah, and then you know, they start telling, they get a hold of Noam's ear, and I'm a piece of shit, I'm a racist, you know, I'm an anti-Semite, which is insane. And you know, Noam's like, "Yeah, why don't you?" And I had a problem with Bill Burr and Club Soda Kenny in there, and Kenny threw me out of the place. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So when he told me that, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm done with the Comedy Cellar.
Dirty Jersey. Dirty Jersey rat. Dirty Jersey rat. Dirty Jersey.
Broke my heart, Dirty Jersey. You broke my heart. Mainly by including Granny. That's my main issue.
You know what? You weren't. I know that your ass was not going to bring this up.